Hey everybody, it is Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I want to come to you today with another commentary video that I think I can speak on a position of authority on. I recently made those videos about the ATF pistol brace stuff, and I mentioned in that video, or those videos, that I own NFA items. I know the process, and while I don't know everything in the world, even though I like to say I do, I like to think that when it comes to that, I speak on a position of authority. Well, what I want to talk about today, I also think I have a lot of experience with, and that is essentially kind of threat assessments when it comes to schools. I know everyone has accused me in the past. Okay, not everybody. A lot of people. You're an ATF agent. You're a Fed. No, I'm a music teacher. I tell that to people all the time and whatever. But I teach in 6 different schools, public schools, and in 2 different districts. And as you guys know, I have a firearms YouTube channel. And I talk about guns. I review guns. I like to think I know the equipment. But I also know schools. I see school security. I see what they do. And when events like what happened in Nashville recently occur, I sometimes in my mind have to go to these dark places. And I ask myself, what can we do better? How can we stop these things? And of course, you have everybody that's on the left or anti-gun saying it's about gun control. And then you have some people say it's about mental health, and to go after the actual person that perpetrated the crime, which I tend to go more towards that. I don't even think about the mental health as much as go after the people that are committing these, because from my personal experience in life, I can tell you that there are evil people in this world that cannot be reasoned with. And that's not going to change. It has been that way since the beginning of human history. And so that's not going to change. And we have to figure out how to deal with that. But when it comes to school security, it's honestly a joke, okay? We go through these lockdown drills. We have all of these extra locks on doors. In fact, right now, I'm sitting outside of a school that I have to go in to teach here in about 15 minutes. And I'm looking around. And right now I'm looking at the side doors to the school that, of course, are magnetically locked. And there's 2 of them, but they're made of glass. And I'm thinking to myself, and of course, as I said, you got to go down this path, this dark path in your head, like, okay, if I was one of these evil people, would that glass door stop me? No. I mean, you pretty much know going into an event like that you're not coming out. In fact, this perpetrator, this scumbag, this whatever in Nashville knew that she was going to die that day. So she already had that in her mind. So a glass door was not going to stop her. And when I get out of the car here, I'm going to go to the front door of the school, and I have a badge and all that. And I will be badged in. They know who I am. But I go through this front door that's made of glass, and I go to this lobby area, and then the person sitting behind the desk is behind more glass, and nice lady. But I think to myself, I could walk right into the main lobby with a firearm, whether that be concealed or whatever, and the glass isn't going to protect her. I can easily get into the school. I can bust through glass. I can bring a hammer. I can do these things. None of that's going to stop me from doing something like that, or a bad person from doing something like that. And I see all of this security theater that does absolutely nothing. It just makes people feel good. And I have thought to myself that the reason the schools do these lockdown drills or add these extra glass doors or these magnetic strips or whatever is just for liability. They know that if somebody gets into the school, it's over. But if they can, in court, show, hey, we took these measures, you can't sue us. That's what I honestly think it's about. Another thing that's absolutely silly is lockdown drills. Because if you know that once a school is breached, they have these alarms, these announcements that are automated that would go over the system, and you lock down. And what happens is the teachers turn off the lights and everybody huddles into a corner. In my opinion, that's like putting fish in a barrel, because I'm going to assume that a perpetrator of one of these incidences or these horrific crimes already knows what's going to go on. And so they know if they go through the halls and they have the lockdown thing going on, the alarms, they know the kids are in the rooms. The doors might be locked, but once again, those doors usually have glass on them that can easily be broken. They know where they are. They're all huddled in the same area. I've thought to myself, what happens if something like this happened to me? Yeah, and I know the sun's coming up. Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go. I'll have to hide it there for just a second. What would I do? Would I sit there and would I run? Would I do the lockdown? The answer is I don't really know. I guess it kind of depends on the situation and where I'm at the moment. But I don't know. School security is a joke. Some of the schools I teach at have resource officers that are there. I'm aware that there was a debate for a while. Should they be given AR-15s, whether they have them in their vehicles outside or locked in a safe? And of course, parents are like, no, you can't have guns in school. Oh my gosh, you can't have that. You know, some of the schools I feel safer at because they do have a resource officer on site all the time. Some of them do not, or like the officers will like go from school to school. You know, if there's one officer for 3 schools, they just kind of randomly go between them. I don't think that's good. My solution, and what I think would really end this, and I'm seeing if the sun has gone away. Yeah, it's gone away a little bit, so I don't have to hold up my hand anymore. What would really, really help the situation is instead of sending all of this money to Ukraine, which what have we spent? $75 billion. Why don't we take that money and create a national program for retired law enforcement and military to go get training, to hire or to buy vehicles and firearms that these people can sit outside of schools. Because when these shooters go into these schools, you have moments while they're getting out of their car and they're strapping up and all that, and they're walking inside. If there's people around the building, visible around the building, that are armed, sitting in vehicles or walking around, maybe they have a rifle on them, maybe they don't, maybe they're, as I said, I think they should be uniformed. I think that they should have probably a firearm on them visibly, just like a regular cop, walking around the school. These shooters are going to go, I'm not going to have any time to get in there and do the destructive act that I want to do, that I will be stopped before I get in there, and it will deter it. And for those people that say that's silly and stupid and kids are going to feel like they're in a jail, well, do kids feel that way when they go into, let's say, a courthouse or you go into a bank? You know, we protect our money that way. And I know that's kind of a talking point. But, you know, even if we outlawed guns completely, the military is still going to put armed guards around Fort Knox. Why? Because it's a deterrent, and it will stop somebody. Even if they don't have a gun, they're still going to try to go in there and steal the gold, right? Same thing will be with these evil people. They're still going to try to hurt people. If you have it in your heart that you could take an innocent life, and especially the innocent life of young children, you're going to do that whether or not you have access to a firearm, whether that be a car. And here's another example. When I leave schools, or I'm showing up to a school, sometimes because of my schedule, it's before or after a school, I'll see all these kids filing out, and they're all standing in lines waiting to get on buses or be picked up by their parents, or maybe they're walking in a large group down the street. What would stop somebody that just wants to cause harm from getting a vehicle, renting a large van, and just running them down? In some ways, you could probably hurt, maim, or kill more people doing that than you can entering a school with a firearm. So we have to think this through, that we have to get over utopian ideas of, we don't want guns in school. Listen, I don't want any violence in school. I don't think guns should have to be in school, but that's not the world that we live in. Just like, you know, we have to prepare for certain things, and it's just reality, and you have to accept reality for what it is and get over this utopian vision of guns don't belong in school. Okay, if that's the case, then you're always going to have these problems, because that's not the world that we live in. There are evil, evil people in this world. And as I said, the security that we have in our schools now are jokes. They don't do anything. They don't stop anything. They don't prevent anything. It shields the schools from liability. The actions you take in a lockdown drill, I think, actually endanger students. And until we get serious about securing and hardening the schools and the targets, this is not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. Because there's evil people that get glorified for it. There are people that, instead of shaming the history of these people, we say, oh, they're victims and it's the gun's fault. So they feel like there's not going to be any consequences to their action. And they want to be the ones that caused the laws to change. They want to be the ones that go down in history as the greatest of all time, the GOAT, right? Because they want to stack up the body count. They want to be the one that goes out in the blaze of glory. And the media and these people give it to them. They give them the fame. They give them the shielding of, oh, you're a victim. Oh, it's something else besides their actions and their thoughts that did this. But the people that are on the left and the people that are anti-gun will never want to have armed security, because in their mind, that's giving in to the guns. They're like, oh, it's the pro-gun people. We can't let them have an inch. And because of that, they will be complicit, in my mind, in the deaths of innocent children. And they'll say, well, you on the pro-gun side are doing the same thing if you won't allow for gun control. That horse left the barn a long time ago. There's 400 million firearms. You're not going to collect them. And even if you banned every new sale, made it so hard, licensing, all these things, there's so many guns out there, you're not going to get them back. And these people that want to hurt these kids will just find another way, whether that be through knives, running them over with vehicles, creating explosive devices. That's just the way it's going to be. So you have to go after the evil and not go after the item. And I know that seems like a talking point, but it really is true. And I'm trying to do this from a non-political standpoint of, obviously, the motives of this perpetrator in Nashville seem to be pretty clear. But I'm trying to keep the politics out of it and just look at it as a threat assessment to schools. And as mentioned, I see this from a very unique standpoint, because I have a firearms channel. I shoot a lot of guns. I understand firearms. And I work in schools. A lot of different schools that I see different tactics taken when it comes to school security. And a lot of it is honestly a joke. It's a joke. It's not real security. It's security theater. And in my mind, I can see how easy it would be. In some ways, I kind of wish these school districts would hire people that would go in there and go, listen, this is an absolute joke. Run it, I like kind of war game it out. And go, okay, maybe like on a day off. No kids in school. You just tell people, okay, go into the school and there's going to be an active shooter drill. And have somebody breach the building in a way that maybe they're not expecting, and have them go through that process and see what someone that wants to do harm or get in, how they would do it. They're not just always going to walk through the front door and be badged in and sign in with a security badge. They're not going to do that. They're going to go in through a side door or a window or a glass door. And then once they're in, having people in lockdown mode where they're all huddled in the same corner in a room that the shooter knows where they're at. That doesn't help either. We got to approach this differently. And the world is not fair. The world is not a perfect place. And regardless, if the anti-gunners say no guns in school ever for anybody whatsoever, it doesn't mean that someone that wants to hurt people isn't going to bring a gun there. And we have to accept that as reality. And the horse left the barn a long time ago about, banning this or banning that because there's so many out there anyway. So it's the world that we live in. So we have options. And anytime somebody says we don't have the money, we don't have the funding, and you ask them, how much would it take to arm this security force? Oh, it'd be $20 billion. We just don't have that type of money. $20 billion for the nation. Hey, how much money are we just flippantly giving to Ukraine? Oh, we've given them $75 billion, and nobody bats an eye. We're giving it to a country, regardless of what you think of Vladimir Putin, regardless of what you think about Ukraine. We just flippantly give these countries money that most Americans don't even know where it is on a map. You can't show it to them. You can't. If I show most people a world map, they can't tell me where Ukraine is. If you ask them what's really going on, they don't know. We're arming them. We're giving them guns. We're giving them $75 billion. We're doing all this stuff, and we're like, hey, why don't we solve some problems at home, like school security? Oh, we can't do that. It's going to cost us $20 to $25 billion. But you just gave $75 billion without even thinking about it to another country. Oh, but that's okay. We need this or that. It's like, but we have homeless veterans on our street. Let's solve that problem before we try to solve problems around the world. Oh, we can't do that. That'd be like $30 billion. But once again, 25 billion and 30 billion, that's like 55 billion. We still got another 20 billion. And we're spending it on Americans to save American lives and to help the homeless veterans. Oh no, we can't do that. We don't have enough money. Nobody's serious about solving problems. Nobody's serious about solving problems. It's always theater, whether it's security theater or political theater. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today and share that with you. As I said, I know some of you guys are like, you're a Fed, you're an ATF agent. No, I'm a music teacher that teaches in public schools. And I see this from the inside. And I like to think I have a unique perspective because I'm a firearms YouTuber. I know tactical firearms. I see the schools from the inside and the outside, and I see what's wrong with it all. And I see it's all a joke. And nobody wants to do anything about it. So that's what's going on. I just thought I'd share my thoughts on this and see what you guys had to say. So let me know in the comment section below. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Do any of you guys see it like I do from the inside as a school teacher and as a gun person? I'd like to know. So let's have a good discussion. So as always, thanks for watching.